Chris Hart was the missing driver, so the number 69 car started by Chris Hart. That was the only one I hadn't been able to grab hold of. So we're about to get this race underway. Round 5 of the 2023 GT Cup Championship is go here at Brands Hatch, and it's a really good start from James Wallace, but trying to join him is Lucky Kieran, the McLaren round the outside. He needs to close the door on Simon Orange as well, and it looks as though they have remained the top 3 as they were on the grid as they propel themselves uphill and into the braking area for Druids for the first time, with Morgan Short leading Group GTO in the early stages. In the White Mosler, they're in 4th.
Yeah, the White Mosler looking really, really hooked up this weekend. They've had great pace in practice, showing that off in qualifying as well, and then racing in the looking very racy as well. But we've got a big gap at the lead already for the Drive Tac Mercedes AMG as the second and third McLaren 720S's fight away.
I think Warren Gilbert blocked the brakes at the wheel of the GTC Lamborghini heading in towards Graham Hill Bend, and that's probably given Kev Clark the early lead in Group GTC as a result of that small mistake.
Yeah, there was a car off heading into the pit lane in the little cut through at Surtees there, so that's one of the GT4 Make Happen Racing. I can't see which number it is, but we'll keep you updated on that when we see the cars flying around the back of the circuit. Such an awesome circuit to be on in these GT3 cars.
Yes, Simon Orange has picked the pocket of Lucky Kira, so unlucky for Lucky. He's now down into 3rd place. Simon Orange was able to sort of peel away that position there and work his way through up into 2nd position, and is now trying to make good his escape. But at the moment, this is playing beautifully into the hands of young James Wallace, who at the wheel of the Drive Tac powered by track focused Mercedes, is pulling away in the lead of the race. And remember, he had a great weekend at Donington Park, 2 wins and a second, but unfortunately had a DNF as well, didn't he, in the second race of the weekend? Yeah,
that was really unfortunate at Donington with, I think it was a wheel bearing or a wheel nut failure, as we see side by side at the back of the field. And the other Make Happen race, no, it's the Ram Racing GT4, looking at the inside there, but didn't quite make that happen. But I mentioned on the grid pre-race that potentially the younger, less experienced drivers, potentially Cook and Wallace, might be a little bit slower to get to speed, but showing me up there and pulling out a gap at the front of the field as we now look towards the back of the grid or in a different group.
Yeah, no, this is inter-group battling at the moment. This is 11th place Russ Lindsay in the Porsche, fighting away with Group GTH, which is going to be Gustavo Savia at the wheel of the Ram Racing machine. Now, Gustavo Savia leads Group GTH at the moment. Driver, I don't really know a great deal about Gustavo Savia, but he's new to GT Cup for this weekend, and he's certainly making an impression the way he's driving at the moment.
Clearly looking racy, got some confidence in that machine, feels like he's got a bit of pace over the car he's fighting for the same piece of tarmac with.
Yeah, we're side by side for 2nd and 3rd in Group GT8. Seamus Jennings at the wheel of his GCAT Racing number 33 Porsche, trying to work his way through and past. He was another driver that ran wide on lap 1 coming out of Graham Hill Bend and lost a few places. So the GT3 spec car is mixed amongst the GTH spec cars at the moment, and he should be able to pick them off. He's trying to sneak his way through and past James Guest in the Feathers Motorsport Aston Martin. James having none of it, closes the door, and he needs to, because James Guest doesn't want to let the quicker car through, because he doesn't want to lose time to the car that's in the same group as him that's ahead.
That's a big thing that's going to be a part of this weekend's racing, is especially the Group GTH is the slowest of our groups this weekend, is how to be passed by the faster cars without losing too much time. And he's done a good job there. He's managed to get past in the straight and still made the apex of the last corner, so that reduces the time lost for him in his battle with the car in 2nd place just ahead, although he's lost a little bit of time, but hopefully that will come back towards him as the Porsche then passes the AMG GT4 ahead.
Yep, so that will be John Curry that is the AMG GT4 ahead, which means that it was Chris Hart in the sister car that came into the pit lane and is still there and is out of the race, I'm afraid. Car that qualified 2nd in Group GTH, the number 69 car, potentially looking like an early retirement in this one.
Yeah, looking like an early retirement. He stopped in the garage. They've got the drivers. He's actually pulled away. He's back on circuit. It must have been a small issue that the team have managed to get fixed quite quickly. As we now look at the number 24 McLaren 720S in great colour livery. Yeah, that's Andre Borodin looking to try and sneak his way up the inside. And is he going to make it through over the GT4 spec McLaren? No, not quite. 720 can't make it ahead of the 570, but in a straight line you would expect Andre Borodin to edge his way through and past. They come tumbling downhill and up towards Hawthorne Bend, and bottled up behind Andre Borodin at the moment is Warren Gilbert at the wheel of the Group GTC Lamborghini. Yeah, the Group GTC Lamborghini, of course, very fast in a straight line, we know that. Maybe not quite the cornering performance of the 720S GT3, but managed to make a way through regardless. Yep, so that's another place gain there for Warren Gilbert, so he'll be hoping that he can carve his way up through the order. He's probably just inside the top 20 at the moment, maybe 18th position, one would have thought, but he's certainly got to work hard
in this one to try and then unlock the door on the next batch of cars which lie just ahead of him. He's trying to sneak his way through and past the GTH McLaren, which he manages to do rather effortlessly in the straight out of Stirling's and up towards Clearways Corner. And now he's got to deal with Chris Murphy's BMW and then Philip Carter's GT4 machine. Well, Chris Murphy weaved around in front of the Lamborghini because he was trying to attack the McLaren, and then finally allows the Lamborghini to sneak past him and then dive up the inside of Phil Carter. 2 places gained for Warren Gilbert. Good lap that.
That was a very committed start, or sort of start-finish straight there, making past the BMW and also the Group GTH. And 670? I can never remember.
It's
570.
520.
520, yeah, making
Yeah,
so.
sorry, no, 570. You were
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So outside of the BMW, then inside into Paddock Hill. That was a very committed start-finish straight.
Yeah,
But
McLaren 720, McLaren 570. Yeah.
yeah, so yes, of course, and of course you've got the new Artura as well as well this year. But we haven't got any of those at the moment on the grid, I don't believe.
At the moment, we are hoping to see a few out towards the end of the season, potentially. Over the start-finish line, there goes Simon Orange. Is he bringing the gap down to the car that he's trying to hunt down? Well, the answer to that is no at the moment. So Simon Orange has dropped back behind Lucky Kier. He was briefly ahead. He's back down in 3rd place. That was at Dingle Dell where he had a small off, Simon Orange, so that's why he's trying to carve his way back through the order. And that white Moser that we're looking at in the hands of Morgan Short impresses me, because, you know, with Morgan Short and Marcus Short, the 2 brothers, share that car. They're young drivers. They're driving a car that is quite an analogue car, really, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, because I love the Mosler.
Yeah.
It's not as electrically specialised as the new GT3 cars. It's a bit of an analogue car. They've never ventured out to the Grand Prix circuit until really free practice.
Yeah, and I spoke to Morgan Short this morning, and he'd never ventured into the GP circuit full stop.
Yeah.
And to be that fast in practice,
Yeah.
that, I mean, one, the Moser's clearly got some serious pace. He's telling me about the downforce it's got and how much grip he's got in the high-speed corners. But also, it's quite an intimidating car to be sending around the back end of the circuit at high speed, and clearly feeling confident, and that the National College Motorsport team doing an excellent job getting that car ready, back running again, but also feeling good for the drivers, because he said that the setup is completely different to Donington.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've tried a few different things with it to try and get it to work properly around the suspension and the damping on the car over the course of yesterday. Here we go. Now that's Simon Orange attacking Lucky Kira again to try and thread his way through and into 2nd place. They carve their way past what I suspect is the Make Happen Racing Chris Hart car, but Simon Orange back into 2nd place, the reigning champion. Now he's had to work hard to catch Lucky Kira. Once he'd caught him, he didn't take long to work his way through and past.
No, that was a great move up to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. He set it up on the exit of the last corner. Which is a standard Brands Hatch manoeuvre, really, isn't it? Just get a good exit out the last corner, send it out the inside of turn 1, and then you can't really do a huge amount to sort of cover it off once you're on the outside of turn 1.
You say it's a standard overtake at Brands Hatch. Absolutely it is, but what you don't realise on the television screen is when you take that inside line going into Brands Hatch, you hit pit lane exit and there's a big bump which unsettles the car.
Yeah, right on the braking zone actually of the GT3 cars, almost exactly where you would brake, so you have to either brake a bit softer a bit early or just go full send and wait till the car's landed off the bump and send it in hard. But Simon Orange doing an excellent job of collecting the car over that bump and then getting past as he then continues to side through the slower groups traffic.
Yeah, and whilst they've been working their way through the traffic, look at what Morgan Short has been doing in the Group GTO leading Mosler, edging up onto the coattails of the 2 ahead. It'd be great to see this car on an overall podium, but what they'll want is the group win. They're in the position to be winning Group GTO at the moment. Now, if you're winning your group and you're going to get maximum points, do you want to overtake the next car ahead, Piers, when you're in 4th? Of course you do, because you want the overall podium.
Absolutely you do. Why would you not want the overall podium? And that's also, it's as a racing driver, car in front pass is what goes through your head, isn't it, really? But the pace of that Moser in the middle sector is ridiculous. I mean, he has pretty much, he's almost half a second, 6/10 faster than both Kira and Orange in the middle sector.
Yeah, much more powerful car, but certainly doesn't have the aero of the GT3 cars. David Franklin trying to stay out of harm's way at the wheel of the 24/7 prepared Mercedes AMG GT4. He shares the car with Ed Bridle in the pit stop races that come later on today and tomorrow. Now, Morgan Short here, this is where you're saying he's got a good run. There goes James Wallace in the lead of the race. Now, Sector 2 is where the Mosler seems to have the advantage over everybody else as James Wallace weaves his way through and past Doc Bush at the wheel of the Group GTC Porsche. James Wallace, we mentioned him a few times at Donington Park. Young driver, had only raced on slicks for the first time at the beginning of last year, having come out of Fiesta Juniors, and here he is now racing a GT3 car and is more than a match than anybody that's got years and years and years more experience.
It's quite impressive to go from a Fiesta Junior to an AMG GT3 in about, 13, 14 months.
Well, I was talking to Sam Mayer-Lochnan yesterday, who he drives the car with, and he said, what we're now is Morgan Short looks to try and nip up the inside of Lucky Kira, doesn't quite make it work as they head in towards Clearways and Clark. Yeah, I was talking to Sam Mayer-Lochnan yesterday. He said at the moment what James is doing is he's driving on instinct, he's driving on what he feels the car is doing. Now what they're trying to do is get him to the next stage, because you can't just drive on instinct if you want to be a pro driver. You've got to drive with other things in mind.
Completely agree, but I was just talking about the Moser. Morgan Short was actually looking on the outside of Lucky Kira into turn one, got on the marbles, and we saw a big twitch on the outside. It didn't make the apex and lost a bit of time there, but clearly feels like Morgan Short in that Moser is much faster than Kira at the moment, because he's trying moves around the outside of paddock.
Yeah, he got him by the short and curlies for a brief moment there, hadn't he?
Yeah, he was. That would have been a somewhat concentration focusing moment in the Moser, I think.
So now this is where the extra pace of the Moser might tell again, as they start to build the speed heading through Pilgrim's Drop and down Hawthorne Hill. No, he's not going to be anywhere close enough as they head towards Hawthorne this time through, Piers.
Tell you what, just looking at the lap times, that last lap around, the fastest lap of the race so far is Wallace on lap 2 or 3, I think, with a 24.9. His last lap was a 25.9, so a second off the pace. However, Simon Orange's last lap was almost 5/10 of a second faster on a 25.4 than a 25.9, so he's catching up, almost half a second a lap.
Okay, so we are about to see lap number 8 chalked into the book. James Wallace still pressing on. Simon Orange trying to work his way through the traffic. That was ex-Volkswagen Cup racer Tim Docker, who almost turned across the nose of Simon Orange's car. And now Simon Orange has got another car to deal with, which is Phil Carter. Sneaks through ahead of the two Group GTH McLarens on the run in towards Paddock Hill Bend. And those two McLarens are going to be fighting for position in Group GTH, aren't they? They're at the moment going to be fighting for 4th and 5th overall in the group as they go side by side through Druids.
Yeah, side by side into Druids after having to deal with the Group GT3 car of Orange going through there. Excuse my sharp intake of breath at the last corner there, Mark. I saw in my mind's eye a second ahead into the future and thought I was going to see two different Group McLarens come together, but they both managed to get through, as we now see, is that Lucky Kira making his way through the Group GTH.
Yeah, he is, and the good thing is he's got Philip Carter between himself and the charging Morgan Short there, so the Moser just has to wait before he can get back on the throttle and try and close the gap up on the car that he's fighting away with, and that's given Morgan Short a bit of an opportunity. He thought that he might be able to prise the door open at Hawthorne, but the straight wasn't quite long enough. And the Moser, it's a heavier car, has to get on the brakes earlier, as Andre Borodin heads for the pit lane, clearly with an issue.
Yes, this is, of course, a sprint race, so no scheduled pit stops. This is an unscheduled pit stop. Looks like must be an issue with that tyre, potentially a right rear puncture by the looks of it, as they change it and get him out again so that he can get some much valuable laps on circuit, because every single lap you can do around here just gives you a little bit more confidence, a little bit more speed, a little bit more refined, think, I can travel, maybe brake a little bit less into Hawthorns, or I can kind of a bit more curve at Sheen and that sort of thing, and every lap is so valuable in terms of lap time.
Yeah, so put a new tyre on it, but now mechanics from Greystone Engineering, Greystone GT, talking to Andre Borodin, who's still getting up to speed with the GT3 car. Plays a lot of pole though as well, does Andre Borodin. And now this is going to be a fight for Group GTO. This is Paul Bailey at the wheel of the Brabham BT62. You can hear that V8 Ford engine thing howling away, and right behind him you couldn't get two cars that are any more different. We've got the car which can trace its roots back to the 1970s, the Porsche 935 of Richard Chamberlain, and this is for 6th and 7th overall. That's going to be 2nd and 3rd in Group GTO.
I quite like the phrase you just used there, Mark, which is trace its roots back to the 1970s. Oh, it's got a spin at Druids. Hopefully it gets missed by Cook in the R8, and it is. Yeah, you can see his roots back to the 70s. He will struggle to get out of there because that car might bottom out. He's done very. I said he's done very well.
It's beached, and it's beached right on the 8. I did worry the way that the car rolled backwards. You could see there was a gap there. You could see the frustration of Richard Chamberlain. He's 11 minutes to go, beached on an apex. If the marshals on the inside can maybe pull on the rear wing and drag him backwards, fine. But if they can't, we're going to have to go safety car, surely.
That's in a very dangerous position. It's just on the racing line and the exit of. As just on the exit of Druids, if you see potentially another car's gone off somewhere. I'm hearing in my ear, but I can't see anything on circuit right now. But yeah, that's. Oh yes, there's a GT4.
It's David Franklin that's gone off as well in the background. We can't see him from the commentary box literally with the naked eye. We can just spot him, but it's not the easiest thing. And we're going safety car. So safety car is deployed with 10.5 minutes to go. Quite how David Franklin got there, I don't know.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I think we must have just missed that while we were looking at the car in the foreground. That, I say Porsche, it is a Porsche, isn't it?
Oh, it is a Porsche, yeah, but I say it's not quite the 911 that it was when he first bought it.
When it came out the factory. But no, it's an awesome car to look at. I mean, the wing, the tail, the colour, everything about it is just cool.
It's a fan favourite because it is just one of the, that is an iconic car in GT Cup. There is David Franklin, so he is leaving the scene of whatever the problem was for him. Was there a tiny bit of damage to the front left-hand corner of that car? Did I spot?
He went into the barrier. He did hit the barrier.
Yeah, you see the smoke.
But it's just about drivable, so he'll get back to the pits. Probably take a right here. No, he's deciding to do a full lap. I imagine he'll probably, especially considering it's safety car, come to the pits at the end of this lap. That is the thing, though. If he comes into the pits on the right before completing the lap, he will lose the lap. Whereas, obviously, if he completes the full lap and comes in, he won't quite lose the full lap. But that car will need some attention. But yes, I think what would probably happen with that GTH, having not seen it, the AMG GTH, is it probably got maybe a bit unsettled, having had to make an adjustment on the exit of the corner, just got two wheels on the grass, probably then skidded down the hill into the barrier for an innocuous accident, but unfortunately still ruined his race.
He'd have been coming into that corner using his usual racing line, wouldn't he, and then had to adjust the rotation of the car to counter for the fact that the Porsche was stricken on the curbs. Yes. I did notice, though, actually the wing mirror's folded in on that car as well, so as he's gone into the barriers, he's gone a little bit sideways, because it's folded that left-hand wing mirror around as well.
Yes, as you could pointing out, the car is still going round, so it's going to make its way back to the pits. Hopefully he comes in the pits, because I think by the tyre smoke that we saw as it was driving past, if that stays out in circuit, potentially a front left puncture, which could lead to another incident.
You were talking about Simon Orange taking half a second out of James Wallace's lead. Well, of course, he did have a 6.5 second lead, James Wallace. Safety car's out there. That's going to mean the lead evaporates to next to nothing. The only finger-crossing little bit of hope for James Wallace to not have Simon Orange right behind him at the restart is there's a backmarker car between the two of them.
Yes.
And I think, yes, there is, by the look of things. Now, who is that backmarker car? It's Russ Lindsay, who drives for Team Orange, powered by JMH. So they'll be on the radio saying, Russ, when this restart happens, you absolutely need to nail the restart, but then blend out of the throttle after the start-finish line and let Simon go through at Paddock Hill Bend.
Yes, I think the radio message will resemble something like a message to Kimi Räikkönen a few years ago, which I can't repeat on the stream right now. If you know the reference I'm making, then but that will definitely. If Simon Orange had to have a car between him and the leader, he will. That's about the best car you can have, as we can see the Porsche now number 5 getting removed.
Because Simon Orange can't overtake the team car until the start-finish line, so that's why they're saying to Russ Lindsay, you'll have to nail the restart, try and get as close to James Wallace as you can, and then as soon as you cross the start-finish line, you can get off the throttle. There is the car of David Franklin. You can see the scuffs all down the side of it, and the damaged bodywork to that right front corner.
Left front.
Left front corner.
There's a piece of bodywork they can reuse. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, stick it back in there.
Bit there. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh no, up a bit. There you go. But anyway, I'm interested to see how James Wallace will manage this restart, because he's a very inexperienced driver in the scheme of racing. But however, we know he's got excellent pace and great coaching, and is showing that he's going to be a talent in the future, no doubt. But he's in my mind, I'm thinking now, right, I've got a Group GTC car between me and my direct rival. That car is going to be slow in a straight line. I would be thinking, I want to go as early as possible.
I would go at the exit of Stirling's, I'd go.
Yeah. But obviously then he'd have to leave enough space to the safety car. He doesn't catch it at the same time as well. So we'll see how he manages that, because I'm sure if he doesn't do it well, his driver coach, Sam Mayer-Lachlan, will help him out in future. If he does do well, hey, great.
And on all of these are those tiny little nuances that exist in motor racing where, as a driver, you have to utilise that little opportunity that you've got to try and build that advantage back again. And James Wallace will know that, won't he? Yes. Equally as much Russ Lindsay and Simon Orange will know that as well.
And also they've got a few more years of racing under their belt compared to James Wallace, but of course we know that James Wallace is doing very well so far this season, and even in this race.
So the order then at the moment, James Wallace leads the way, the number 50 Mercedes, from Simon Orange in the number 67 McLaren. Lucky Kira's 13 McLaren is there in 3rd place, and Morgan Short leads Group GTO in 4th place. We see Richard Chamberlain coming to the pit lane. 5th place is number 77, that's Morgan Tilbrook, and 6th place is going to be Paul Bailey in the wheel of the 28 car. It looks as though the safety car is peeling in. Piers, we're about to get things back underway.
And there we go, just like we potentially suggested. James Wallace went very early, probably even before the last corner, and has got a sizable 4 second gap roughly. Let's have a look at the line. That's 2.3. My counting's rubbish. 2.3 seconds though, so he's maintained at least a third of the 6 second gap he had before the safety car intervention.
Yeah, and Russ Lindsay was a little bit slower away. Now Morgan Short is trying to get the overlap on Lucky Kira, who just gets the move covered off as they head up in towards the braking area for Druids. And now Morgan Short is always being squeezed by John Curry towards the apex, but there was just enough room for the Mosler to work its way through. Lucky Kira now catches up with Gustavo Savia, and then the next of the cars are going to try and work their way through is Russ Lindsay at the wheel of the Porsche. So yeah, safety car is good to clear the incident, but then it bunches all of the cars up and it all turns a bit chaotic again for a while as drivers try and thread their way back through.
Yeah, Curry left 99% of the width of a Mosler gap on the inside, and Morgan Short did well to just to get two wheels on the curb and make it through safely, as we still see moves going between different classes, groups throughout the field, as we can see there, the R8 in the bright red car there, and the R8 number 32 of Cook trying to make his way through on the BMW. Yeah, there's moves through all the different groups, either for position in your own group or not, or overall throughout the field.
Yeah, and just trying to keep an eye on what's going on in the individual groups at the moment. The group that we probably need to try and keep an eye on is what's going on in Group GTC, the light blue Lamborghini number 62 of Kev Clark, under pressure from the number 11 Lamborghini of Gilbert Yates. Now that is just heading around through Druids now, and yeah, they'll be fighting for the lead of Group GTC. Here comes the light blue Lamborghini in amongst a raft of traffic as Paul Bailey sweeps around the outside of the BMW of Chris Murphy, and then yeah, the two Lamborghinis coming up against the BMW now. That's for the lead of the group. There goes the light blue car of Kev Clark. Right behind him is Gilbert Yates for the lead of the group.
Yeah, and then we can see the Trofeo car going around the outside. That's the number 11. Looking for a cutback now. Is again not in the same group, but still racing for position overall. Oh, they are in the same group. Sorry, my mistake. Of course, that's the older spec of
Trofeo. Yeah.
Sorry, that's my mistake. I thought that was a GT3. But they're still fighting for position. They're not quite getting the move done there. So we're now making our way through the Group GTH, very close into Graham Hill. Not a big braking zone there, so that's a late lunge.
Yeah, the difference between the two of them, it hasn't got the rear wing, has it, down the back of the car, really. So there goes Kev Clark, still managing to maintain a lead of Group GTC, and that will be 8th place overall. And we've had a spin, and that's Phil Carter, who was the pole sitter in Group GTH, has had a spin. That's at the bottom of the Cooper Straight and on the approach towards Surtees. No harm done to the car in terms of bodywork, lots of harm done in terms of race position.
Yes, unfortunately, tumbling down the order after such a good qualifying. Luckily not getting stranded as we saw the Porsche did earlier on at Druids, but carrying on to hopefully try and salvage some result. It's only 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes 40 remaining now, so unlikely we'll get another safety car now or anything like that, but these are the final few minutes to gain or lose any positions. I'm sure everyone will be trying to gain, but you can't all gain.
We were picking up before the safety car that Seamus Jennings was trying to get past James Guess at the wheel of the Feathers Motorsport Aston Martin. Well, he's still trying to get past him. He's finally going to unlock the door, and Warren Gilbert is going to try and squeeze his way through. Deep breath from Warren on the way into the corner, but the Lamborghini should have the pace in a straight line, but James Guess isn't having any of it at the moment.
James Guess is proving very difficult to pass in this race. He's trying to stay right in the back of that Make Happen Racing yellow and black GT4 AMG there in front, because of course they are in the same group.
Yep,
but meanwhile, slowing down quite a lot of the faster group class cars, and this is going to play into the hands now as we see the Super Trofeo car going up the inside of the GT4 as it brings the Group GTH battle back together.
Yeah, so that will be John Curry in the AMG GT4, the number 96 Make Happen Racing car, second in Group GTH. James Guess in the Aston Martin, the Feathers Motorsport car, third in the group at the moment, as Warren Gilbert tries to get the run on the man from Northern Ireland, Seamus Jennings. That's not quite going to work. That is Group GT3 Porsche against Group GTC Lamborghini at the moment, so the Porsche in a straight line should maybe be able to cover off the Lamborghini. It certainly have the better aero as it heads round through the corner, and we're now fast approaching just under 90 seconds to go.
Yeah, as we see him move into Westfield, that's a bold manoeuvre, not pulling it off this time. Westfield not normally in a standard overtaking opportunity for like cars.
No, and almost two wheels on the grass there as he goes past Gustavo Savia's car. So that is the Ram Racing Group GTH Mercedes passed by both of them, and that will mean that Gustavo Savia might have dropped off the lead lap, but he's still leading Group GTH at the moment, that black Mercedes. So good debut in GT Cup for Savia. Yeah,
very good debut, showing a very, we mentioned earlier on, he was looking racy, and of course his teammate Seb Morris this weekend is a very experienced driver in this championship, but just GTs as a whole, so he'll be popping out later on, I'm sure, in the endurance race.
Yeah, second for Group GTH, back over the start-finish line, John Curry, or as it says on the top of the car, aka Chicken Tikka, still managing to hang on to second in Group GTH at the moment, but James Guess is going to throw everything at this one to see what he might be able to do. The Feathers Motorsport Aston Martin, which was an absentee from the championship last year but did a full season the year before, is pushing hard here. John Curry, though, will be desperate for a good result as he lies second in the group.
Yep, second in the group will be a great result for them, as we now cut back to our overall and Group GT3 leader, James Wallace, who's pulled out that gap to over 4 and a bit seconds now, so he's clearly managing the gap before the safety car restart, but another win for him. He'll be over the moon.
Yep, so James Wallace is going to win round 3 of the 2023 GT Cup Championship here at Brands Hatch. James Wallace claims the win at the wheel of the Mercedes. It's going to be the reigning champion Simon Orange that comes through in second place. So James Wallace wins the race, Simon Orange in second place. Third place is going to go the way of Morgan Short. That will also be the win in Group GTO as well. Fantastic stuff from Morgan, who hadn't seen the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit and driven on it until really 24 hours ago in reality, so brilliant stuff from him. Lucky Kira finishes in 4th place, and it's Morgan Tilbrook who finishes in 5th ahead of the Audi of Sasha Kagad in 6th place. Paul Bailey in the Brabham comes through in 7th. Matty Evans and Kev Clark in that number 62 car comes through to finish in 8th place and scoop up the win in Group GTC for the number 62 car, just ahead of Gilbert Yates, who had a brilliant run, I've got to say, in the Blackthorn Lamborghini, pushing hard for the group win, but just came up short in that race. What can he do later on? And Seamus Jennings will complete the top 10. The win in Group GT8, just to confirm, does go the way of Gustavo Xavier at the wheel of number 42 Ram Racing Mercedes. Now remember, fastest laps in this race give us the grid for the pit stop race later on, which means that it will be the James Wallace and Sam Mayer-Lochner Mercedes that won that race that start from pole position in the pit stop race later on. But because they won the last pit stop race at Donington Park, they will also pick up extra time in the pits that they will need to try and overcome. So the extra time penalty that they will have will be an extra 20 seconds that they'll remain stationary in the pits come the pit stop race later on, because each pit stop race you look back at the previous one and work out if you're in the top 3, you add extra time to your pit stop. So they might be on pole, but they've got work to do. Should be able to confirm the results for you as well at the end of that GT Cup Championship race here at Brands Hatch. And as the cars make their way into the pit lane, it was James Wallace that claimed the win by just over 4 seconds in the end from Simon Orange in 2nd place, and Morgan Short won Group GTO, finishing in 3rd place. Lucky Kira was 4th, ahead of Morgan Tilbrook and Sasha Kaked, with Paul Bailey in 7th place. Matty Evans Kev Clark won Group GTC in 8th place, but only just from Gilbert Yates, who was there in 9th place, and Seamus Jennings completes the top 10. In 11th position, that's where we see Warren Gilbert in 11th place. Russ Lindsay was there in 12th place, and in 13th place, that was the winner of Group GTH, which was Gustavo Xavier, who finished in 13th place, ahead of John Curry and James Guest, who had a great fight for 14th and 15th, 2nd and 3rd in the group overall. Tim Docker was 16th, ahead of Chris Murphy, Doc Bush. Philip Card, who had the spin at the wheel of the McLaren, the pole sitter, a race of what could have been, unfortunately for him. But either way, a great qualifying position. David Waddington completes the top 20. Then we head outside of the top 20. It's cars that had issues, really. Chris Hart came into the pit lane very early on with issues, but took the checkered flag still, as did Andre Borodin. And we know of the problems for Richard Chamberlain and the Porsche that was stranded on the curbs, and David Franklin with his off and into the barriers. So that's the way that they finished round 5 of the GT Cup Championship.